Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. We have the entire gang back together for the first time in a month. All of our PTOs are all tapped out. We're all back and ready for the home stretch here in the last month of baseball and then playoffs. How are we doing tonight, fellas?
Awesome. Good to see you guys.
I'm good, boys. I'm ready for the playoff baseball to start.
Yeah,
I'm not wishing for baseball to go away, but at this point, and we got some good races coming down the stretch. I mean, we got the National League East is going to stretch. The American League East now is definitely a race.
Yep.
So I'm just excited to see kind of the races come in, and let's get to postseason baseball.
Yep. AL Central's up for grabs.
There's another one. Yeah, it's another one.
But before we get going, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. Listen to us any way you can. Interact with us. All right. Leading off, I wasn't here last week because I was in Ohio. I got the opportunity to go to the Reds game and the Guardians game, which is still weird, but I'll get to that in a minute. But
the Indians? You mean the Indians?
Yeah, the Indians. And like I said, I'll get to that in a second because I sat with some guys that had season tickets, and it's they are really mad that they ended up changing, but I'll get to it. But so Monday night, I saw Albert Pujols hit his 694 live, and like I said, dude, all 25 guys in that stadium went insane. So we started with a rain delay, so everybody was like, the stadium was empty, and it's the Reds. But I mean, to see Albert Pujols hit it live, dude, that was just, man, it was awesome. Like, every baseball fan knows what he's trying to do, and just to be a part of that and see that was pretty awesome. But yeah, there were 7 home runs hit in that game. Tyler O'Neill went deep twice. Pujols went deep. And then Reds had a couple rookies that went deep. But man, Great American Ballpark, really nice. I mean, we walked all the way to left field and then all the way down to right field. Not too much to the center field area, but the concourse goes to center field and stops, and then you have to walk all the way around because I don't think they open up behind center field because no one goes to the games. So
they don't need to.
Right, exactly. And then Friday I went to Cleveland and saw the Mariners play the Guardians, and like I said, there's they lost a lot of season ticket holders when they switched their names from the Indians to the Guardians. They were trying to throw the new merchandise at people just so they could have it. A lot of people in the Cleveland area didn't buy the Guardian stuff because they were like, no, we're not doing it. They're the Indians. But I mean, I understand why they changed the name. They, kind of forced to, but it wasn't a derogatory thing for the Cleveland Indians. That was a legit, to honor the first Native American that played Major League Baseball was on the Cleveland team.
Right.
So so I mean, I don't know, mixed feelings, but they lost a lot of season ticket holders.
I mean, I feel like they could have. I mean, maybe having the Red Man logo. Right. I mean, you take that away. You take away Chief Wahoo or Yahoo, whatever he was called, right? You do away with those. I get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did what they did. I get why they did it, but I can also kind of see maybe. I do think it's a bit strange though that people in Cleveland are just I don't care. I'm a Patriots season ticket holder, right? If they changed it from the New England Patriots to the New England whatever, I can guarantee you I wouldn't give up my season ticket just because I didn't like the name.
Right.
That's crazy. And that's not a terrible baseball team. I mean, you have some really good baseball players on that baseball team, and they're not supporting them because of the name. I don't know. I think that's a bit soft, but
yeah.
What are you going to do?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, you got Jose Ramirez, you got Shane Bieber. I mean, you have guys that are bringing fans to the ballpark. But yeah,
this is a team competing in the division, and nobody's going to watch them compete.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. If I had an opportunity, not even season tickets, but every 5 days, I could go show up to the ballpark, and for $25, I get to watch Shane Bieber throw. Yeah, you sign me up for that. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
What are you kidding me? And all of a sudden, it's a division game that matters. You just get to watch Shane Bieber throw 8 shutties. when it matters, like, yeah, sign me up for that. That'd be awesome.
How do I get on the
Like
season
30
ticket
bucks.
plan?
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, watched them play the Mariners, and Cal Raleigh actually destroyed the Indians. He went deep twice.
Yeah, twice.
Julio Rodriguez was like 2 for 4 with just frozen ropes to left.
Well,
I mean,
and you
My
saw,
boy
Castillo
dude, I
pitch,
tell you,
right?
and saw Castillo pitch dealing.
I'll tell you, man, as good as Seattle is, and they are a really good baseball team, like,
Yep.
am I crazy to think they're like a top 3 team in the American League right now? Like, that's a really good baseball team. And like Mitch Haniger still has only been playing for like a month and a half. Like, you're gonna hit postseason time, and like Mitch is gonna be like, oh, it's May, it's like time to play.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. I mean, you got a middle of the order bat, a guy that is just a great hitter, but also can like really drive in runs. Going to be like hitting his prime in October, not his prime, his mid season in October.
So it was like a 3-1 game in like the 6th or 7th inning, and Brian Shaw comes in for the Guardians, and you see all the season ticket holders get up and leave. He is their Ryan Brazier.
He's their Brazier.
Yeah, he's like, this game's over. I don't know why Francona's pitching him right here, but this game's over.
Wow.
Sure as shit. Next inning gives up a 3-run bomb. Game over. Like, it's like yikes. But
wow.
Progressive Field was nice too. I love that place. That was, I mean,
yeah, we had a good time. It was years ago, but when we went, it's a nice field, nice stadium.
Back when it was Jacobs Field.
Yeah,
right.
Jacobs Field. But I mean, it's so cool because like I was talking to the people in front of me, and it's like Fenway Park is Fenway Park. You know what I mean? Like the concourse, like I love Fenway Park, but the concourse is dumpy as hell. You know, like
awful.
It's uneven, it's all over the place, but that's part of the nostalgia of it, where like all these newer ballparks, like you go in on one level, everything wraps around, like it makes sense the way it's laid out, you know, like, but I mean, nothing, like I'm biased, but nothing beats Fenway Park. But Progressive was nice. We had it was $2 beers before the game, and then $1 hot dogs for the rest of the game. So I think I had like 5 hot dogs, and my stomach was not liking me on the way home. But that's a different story.
Nor was your blood sugar probably either.
No, but
that pump got a workout.
But still, like $1 dogs. I mean, I saw a kid. He had a full baseball glove, and he just mounted with hot dogs. He's just going into this. I was like, dude, it was awesome. They're like limit 6. It's like, okay, is there a limit to come back? And they're like, no. So I'm like, okay.
Well,
so bring these to my seat, and I can go get 6 more. Like, got it.
Well, what's amazing is when you see these other ballparks. To your point, like the amenities they have, the way they're laid out. Like, I love Fenway for its nostalgia. It's a terrible place to watch a baseball game, but it's a cool place to go.
Right.
These are the ballparks that, you know, the concessions are state of the art, the screens are state of the art, sound system, concourses, you know, like everything makes a lot of sense where Fenway is kind of a jumbled mess. But what's more amazing is when you get outside of Boston and see the prices for the tickets and the parking and all this stuff, it makes you realize just how much we spend to go to a single game.
It's
not even close.
Me and my wife were, for both games, maybe spent $200. And we were we were 8 rows back both games. Like both games, we were like on the field practically. Like, give me a folding chair. I'm sitting behind the third base coach. Like for $40 a ticket. Like it's crazy. But
yeah, it's nuts.
I used to love it. I used to travel to Tampa for work like at least twice a month, and I would grab tickets when I was down there. I caught the Red Sox down there more times than I probably caught them at Fenway in the same period of time. But you could literally walk up day of the game for $20, be in the lower level, probably a dozen rows off the field, and for $50 enjoy the whole evening, and watch some pretty good baseball in a crappy stadium, but good teams.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it was a great trip. It was 2 stadiums that I haven't had. I don't have on my checklist, so got those off, and it was a pretty good trip. It was worth it. But yeah. All right, so let's kind of get into it. So like I said, I saw Albert Pujols hit 694 on Monday. He hit 695 yesterday. He is 1 away from tying A-Rod. I just need him to hit at least 2 more, and I'm good. Honestly, if he doesn't reach 700, but he passes A-Rod, I'm
beat A-Rod.
Yep. I mean, I'm okay with that. I would love to see Albert get to 700, but just get him past A-Rod, and I'm happy. Honestly.
Yeah, he's getting 7.
You think he's
getting 700? Oh, it's no question.
Yeah,
I don't. At this point, like, he was what, 692 when we started the show last week. He was in 693
ago.
during.
It was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Because he hit 692 and 693 in Arizona. Then he hit next Monday. He hit 694 with me in Cincinnati.
Oh, all right. So
Yeah.
I'm one off.
Yeah.
Okay. He hits him in bunches, I guess was the point that I was trying to make, right?
Okay.
And he's looking pretty good right now. I think I'd be shocked. All right. I'd be shocked if he doesn't hit 700.
And what's impressive too is number 695 was a pinch hit home run. I mean, the guy comes off the bench
Yeah,
cold,
right.
at 49 years old, whatever he actually is, and goes yard with authority in a big ball game.
Yeah, he crushed that one, dude, up and in, and he just turned on it.
Oh, he smoked it. I mean, absolutely.
That was
It was vintage Albert from 10 years ago. I mean, he
Yeah.
absolutely
I think
turned and yacked that thing.
Harrison, what we were saying last week, right? Like a lot of these guys when they're getting older and they're kind of playing out the last year of their career, like you can see that they're getting older because they're just losing the ability to hit the fastball. They just get blown away. It's just up and in is a no contest, whatever.
Yep.
Pujols is like, it's not like that. Like he's
No.
taking, like Nick, the game you were at, right? I mean, it's a 2-strike pitch on the outside corner that he's taking over right field.
Yeah.
And then he steps up as a pinch hitter, knowing that these guys in the bullpen are pumping triple digits. They know it's a big place for a strikeout. And he steps up and turns on an up and in and crushes it.
Yeah.
So it's like he's not even losing. He hasn't even lost the ability to hit a fastball. It's really unbelievable what he does at this age. And he's he's probably like 48. We don't even know how old he is.
Right. I kind of draw the comparison to him to like Miguel Cabrera right now. Like Miguel Cabrera is still an incredible hitter, but his power has completely diminished. It really has fallen off.
Oh, yeah.
Miguel
That
can't
ballpark
turn,
doesn't help either, but
well,
Right,
no,
yeah, right,
you're right.
right.
But Miguel can't really turn on that inside
No.
fastball as you can see Albert Pujols does. Like typical Miguel Cabrera style, he's just slapping them all the right field, which is, listen, that he's done that his whole career.
Right.
But that inside triple digit fastball, he's not getting his hands in and turning on it like
No.
Albert Pujols is still doing.
Right.
Like
Which is crazy.
it's nuts,
Well,
dude.
100%. You look at Miguel Cabrera, and those pitches in, he's kind of dumping into right center field for like a base hit. We've watched that all season with JD Martinez. JD Martinez is not the same hitter he was. He's dumping a lot of balls into right field as little kind of flare singles, where Albert is still driving the ball with authority. And yeah, Sean and I talked about it last week. Pujols, it doesn't look like the game's left Pujols behind. He can still play. The difference is the ball that he used to hit to the warning track is now, 3/4 deep in the outfield and caught. He's lost that additional kind of margin, but he's still an effective hitter. Could he play every day? I don't know if he could truly play every day, but he's not getting left behind like you see so many of these guys do at the end of their career.
No.
Right.
But he's going to play every day for the rest of the season. Like
I think they will, yeah.
He's going to DH or play first base. Like he played first base on Monday night and Goldschmidt DH'd, but
So I have to say this, and I love Albert. One of my favorite players growing up, obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer, no question, yada, yada. Unless Paul Goldschmidt comes to me in the manager's room and says, I want a DH today, I'm not putting Albert with his glove at first base instead of Paul Goldschmidt.
No.
Like, I'm sorry. And I love
Yeah.
Albert. But you've got legitimately the best defensive first baseman in the National League.
Yep.
DHing? What?
Yeah, and I don't know that I buy I buy a first baseman needs a rest day. He's not. He's not in center field running down fly balls. Like he's at first base.
With the way that he's swinging the bat, if Goldie comes to me and tells me he needs it, sure, I'll give it to you.
Absolutely.
But like every other game, I'm looking, it's like Albert's at first. Like why?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing?
That was one of my biggest disappointments Monday is Paul Goldschmidt was 0 for 5 with 3 Ks. And I was like,
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was like, Arenado, though, seeing him
So
defensively in person, dude.
He's so good.
Disgusting.
Dude, he made a play in the shortstop hole, 360 spun, and like wasn't even looking at first base and just like bing, chest high. Like
No, the
unreal.
last third baseman I saw that plays third base like him is Scott Rowland. Like that's the gap. We haven't had a third baseman like him since Scott Rowland. And Scott Rowland was potentially a once in a generational talent. Arenado's the same kind of guy, same makeup.
I don't
And
think Scott Rowland got it. I don't think Scott Rowland got enough credit for how good he was defensively. Like when people
you're
think
right.
back, I know certainly like when like the circles that like all my buddies and I don't
Yep.
think we give Scott Rowland nearly enough credit for how good he was defensively.
No, absolutely.
No,
not.
he
That
was
dude
off the
was
charts good.
a vacuum.
There was
Insane.
Scott Rowland's signature play was that little chopper that would get in between like the pitcher and the shortstop. He would come across the field,
Mm.
cut the shortstop off, make the throw to first, knowing the shortstop couldn't get that out because he had to come in too far. But Rowland was the best at cutting that ball off across the middle
Mm.
and taking away all those little Bermuda Triangle chopper hits.
Yeah.
And then he had a cannon on top of it. So like
Cannon.
half the time
Absolute cannon.
he would just knock the ball down and then throw a seed across the infield.
We talk about O'Neill Cruz with the 108 across the diamond. That was Scott Rowland once a game.
Yes,
Once
it
a
was.
game.
Oh, he threw missiles. I mean, and I thankfully got to see Scott Rowland live once. I mean, I've never seen a ball that didn't have any kind of arc on it across the infield. I mean, that thing was a BB. A BB.
Guys are nuts.
So yeah, you guys, are you on the 700 train? Does he get 700?
Oh, no question.
Yep.
I don't think it's any question.
Nope.
He's
100%.
got what, 29 games left? I think October 5th is the last day of games. So he's got a month.
Well, but how many? I don't. Do they play every day? I mean, I'm sure they got.
I mean, probably not. So he's probably got.
So he's probably got 25 games.
25
Well,
games.
what's their record?
So they're 79 and
Too much
56.
That's way too much math for me. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, right.
He's got 27 games left.
27. Split
Okay.
the difference. So he's got 27 games.
So
Does
one
he
every
hit-
5.5 games.
So one every 5.5 games.
One every 20 at bats is what he needs to average the rest of the year.
Which, yeah, that's
It's doable.
yeah. I mean, he's got what 16 this season? Is that his number? Yeah, he's
Yep.
at 16 for the year. I mean, could
He's
he hit? Can he hit 21? I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I hope he does. I really do. I'm pulling for him, but
It's a big order for him to hit 5 in the month, but I think he can do it.
yeah.
And in
he hit-
typical Albert Pujols fashion, you know how he's going to do it. And that 700 is going to be probably some like dramatic walk-off home run in some
yeah.
game, like the final day of the season or some crazy shit. Like that's
Yeah.
what Albert does.
Yeah, Randy said
I mean,
last at bat we had a question of the week, and he says last at bat of his
Yeah.
career, he gets
Yeah, he'll hit a
700.
friggin' missile to walk off.
I mean, the crazy thing is, too, not even necessarily the home runs, but the number of pitchers that he hit the home runs off of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
450.
Different.
Like he's what, 415 or 420 or 425 or something like that. Like however many different pitchers he's gone deep off.
Yeah,
That is incredible.
it's insane. While we're talking about home runs, Aaron Judge hit 54 today, and it was
451, Sean. He's now homered off of 451 different pitchers.
Unbelievable, man.
695 was a different guy.
That's right. That's right.
Goodness.
That's amazing. 451 different pitchers.
That's incredible.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, like I said, talking about the home run, Aaron Judge hits number 54 today,
And not a
Does
cheap
he-
one.
and not a cheap one. Tank.
That was a hanging slider that he destroyed.
Does he get to 62?
Yep.
He needs 8.
He might have 62 by
Needs
mid-September the way he's hitting. I mean, my God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the argument against it is.
Right.
I every time I see him hit another home run, I go, why the hell is anybody pitching this guy anymore?
I'm
The guy-
glad
that's
you
the
brought-
guys-
Especially with
The guys running the
Especially with the
lineup
way-
have done jack in 2 months.
that's
and
right.
He continues
Especially
to
with
hit
the way the
bombs.
rest of the offense has been doing since July.
I am glad you brought that up. That's a great segue. Listen to these weekend stats, right? The weekend against the Rays, I think it was. Judge was 5 for 11, 3 runs, 2 RBIs, 3 extra base hits. His 2 RBIs were on 2 home runs. Everybody else, you ready for this? 9 for 87. They hit 103 with 1 RBI, and only 2 of them are extra base hits.
Yeah, in the one RBI that they hit knocked Judge in. When IKF hit the home run today, he hit a solo home run today.
Oh my God.
It was the first run by a Yankee other than Judge since August 30th.
Dude, insane.
I mean,
What-
why is anybody still pitching to this guy? Nobody in that lineup has done jack in a month.
I think that's why.
He hit a
Because they
friggin'
don't-
hanging slider today that was like couldn't have been teed up any better.
But the thing is they'll pitch to Judge because it's like, I mean, why not? Why not try to get him out? There's nobody on base. Everybody
Yeah.
else is in the dugout. So it's like,
Right.
I mean, why not? We might as well try to get him out. I mean, what's he gonna do? Hit a solo jack off you? Cool. Like they're still
You're not
lose.
gonna. I'll tell you this. I don't care if you're the Oakland A's. I don't care who you are. Solo home runs ain't beating you.
No.
Like when you play Major League Baseball, you're not losing to solo home runs. You know, so I'm kind of on that train of thought too, Nick. Like, why not at this point?
Yeah.
Like, usually the bases are empty. Usually there's other outs because he's not leading off an inning, so it's usually no on, one out, or no on, two outs. Like, yeah, I'll pitch to him. Sure,
it's
if
like
he takes me deep, it's one run.
So today, for example, Gleyber Torres is on base. It's a 6th inning. It's a 2-2 game. Judge hits a hanging slider to Queens to make it 4-2, and that was the game-winning home run. It was the 5-2 final.
At
Like,
that
why-
point, you put him at first base.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
put him-
Why in the 6th inning of a tie game is he not standing at first base? Like, I don't care. I don't care if the bases. I don't care if there's 2 guys on base. I might even go Joe Madden and walk him in if it's loaded. But like, why in a tie game is that guy swinging the bat at all?
Yeah.
At all. I mean, and I'm with you,
Yeah,
Sean. I mean,
that's-
I think if you get Judge out, then you're clear through the rest of the lineup. That's awesome. Like, you get him and you're done. But he continues to hit. He's not hitting solo home runs in the 7th inning of like an 8-2 game. He's hitting 2-run bombs in a 2-2 game against the Twins, who are in playoff competition, and they're losing because of it. Like, it blows my mind that he still gets a hanging slider in the 6th inning of a 2-2 game in a playoff race.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's pretty indefensible. So I can't argue that one.
I mean, and the rest of the Yankees lineup looks like Joey Gallo.
Oh, I think Will Middlebrooks, is the one that I heard say it, which I thought was hilarious.
I love Will Middlebrooks.
He's like, the rest of the lineup has just turned into a bunch of like conservative hitting catchers. It's just like, that's all they are. They're just like a bunch of catchers that every once in a while will run into one, but like other than that, like that's all they are.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I liked Will Middlebrooks as a player, and I was sad to see him leave Boston. He is way better now that he's not playing. He is a friggin' riot.
Yeah.
I love his hot takes and his opinions.
Oh my god,
he's funny.
I love him.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll just kind of go right into it. So now we got the AL East here, right? So 5th inning, we'll move on to current standings. The AL East is now a race. I mean, the Yankees were up like 19 games at one point in May, and now it's down to 3.5.
I think it's 5.5.
Oh, 5.5.
So
okay.
the Yankees are up 5 on Tampa, 6 on Toronto, 9.5 on Baltimore.
I mean, 32 on the Red Sox, I think, at this point, right?
It feels like it 14.5.
But I mean, it's a race. Like,
it's a race.
Not insurmountable for the Toronto or
Let's
the
put it
Rays
this way.
to pick up.
Let's put it this way. On June 1st, the Yankees were farther away from the 2nd place team than they are today against the 5th place team. That's how far the Yankees have fallen, and the rest of the division is caught up.
That's nuts. So, do they get caught, or do they turn it around?
I don't know if they turn it around. The hard thing is, like, when you get this late in the season, like, the only way the Yankees lose ground is obviously if they lose and Tampa Bay, Toronto, whatever other teams win. And I think the Yankees did a good enough job early. Yeah, they built themselves such a large cushion that they can kind of afford this way. I don't know if they turn it around, though. Like, what people that are confident that the Yankees are going to turn it around, like, what is it about this lineup that makes you think they're going to turn it around? Like, the home runs are just going to start to come for everybody again?
I mean,
like, I don't. But do you know how unlikely that is? I'm not saying it's definitely not 100% not going to happen, but like,
no.
I don't know how you could bank on that.
Well, no,
I don't think the pitching's very good. I think, Jordan Montgomery, we talked about last week, was a terrible loss. It's a big pickup for St. Louis, but tough for them to lose. The pitching's not been great. Aside from Judge, the hitting, I mean, you read the numbers from last weekend. The hitting's been really, really bad.
Yep.
I don't know. Turn it around, I don't know. I still think they win the division. Let's put it that way. I don't think they get caught for the division because I just think it's a lot of games to make up in such a short period of time.
And let's be honest, we are getting a great look at how terrible of a manager Aaron Boone is. He can't stop the bleeding. Like he hasn't tied the tourniquet on tight enough. He doesn't know what to do. He's completely lost. He's over his head. He doesn't know how to stop this train from derailing. And like you
Yeah.
called before, like once all their runs dried up because the home runs aren't coming, they need to find a way to win, and they can't.
Well,
Well, it's just that,
think
I mean, when you get into the postseason, you run into better pitching. I mean, that's logic,
That's how it is,
right?
right?
Like the good teams that are in the postseason are teams that have good pitching. So you're going to run into good pitching, and it's not going to be for one game. It's going to be night in, night out. You're going to face good pitching. You're going to have to figure out a way to get guys on base, move them along, sacrifice flies. Let's get 5 runs without hitting a home run, and it's just a hard thing for them to do. I still think they win the division. I still think they end up as probably the 2 seed in the American League because I just don't know who else. I mean, Houston's going to be 1, but I mean, I still think they're going to get that kind of path through the first round. But I if I had a future bet on the Yankees to win the World Series, I'd be nervous about that right now. I'll tell you that much.
Well, and when you look at the Yankees schedule the rest of the year, they've got 3 more against the Twins. So they got 3 more at home against the Twins, 3 more at home against the Rays. Then they go on the road for 2 in Boston, 3 in Milwaukee. They come home for Pittsburgh for 2, the Red Sox for 4. They go on the road to the Blue Jays for 3, and they wrap up at home with the Orioles. I mean, if you're going to catch them, that is the schedule that might let you catch them because they don't get a lot of breaks.
Yeah, no, they don't. They don't.
And
the Rays and Blue Jays who are chasing them are going to see them.
Right. That's the thing, is the schedule coming down the stretch. Are they going to fold underneath the pressure of these 2 teams coming at them hard? We'll see. All right, let's switch to. We'll stay in the AL, but we'll go to the AL Central, where the Guardians and the Twins are duking it out here. Now, when I was in Cleveland on Friday, the place erupted when they scored their first run in like 3 games. They were on like a 27-inning scoreless streak. Yep. And dude, the place went nuts when they scored. But they got swept by the Mariners, so that was big for Seattle because now they're in sole first place of the wild card. And it brings the Twins back within the AL Central race there. Who ultimately ends up winning the AL Central there? The Guardians are really young. Like, they have some automatic outs. Like 6 through 9 is not good at all. Like, they're all below 200 hitters.
And the Guardians, the Guardians have. I look at it as this is the Guardians' division to lose. They've got 3 right now against KC. Then they've got the Twins coming to see them for 3 games. That could be big. Then they go on the road to the Angels, a makeup game with the White Sox. Then they have 5 with the Twins on the road. That weekend of the 16th, 17th, 18th, and then the 19th, they wrap around. Wow. 5 games with a doubleheader makeup. A doubleheader and another rescheduled game filling a Monday.
I mean, that's the division. That series right there is the division.
I mean, and then you go on the road. You close out with the White Sox, the Rangers, and you come home for 3 with the Rays and 1 with the Royals. But you've got 8 games. Yeah, 8 games against the Twins the next 2 weeks. That's going to decide it. They're in control of their own destiny, but they've got to win.
And I'll tell you, it's likely going to be the team that drops out of that doesn't even make the playoffs.
Nope.
So you're winning the division because you're not getting one of the wild cards. It doesn't look like. I mean, the Minnesota right now is 6.5 back from the last wild card spot.
Right. They're a half a game out of first place and 6.5 out in the wild card. So
right. So you're either winning the division or bust. So that's. Yep. I think Minnesota. It's going to come down to those 8 games, obviously, and I think Minnesota's going to come through. I like Minnesota to bring it home.
I think Minnesota is just deeper. Like I said, like seeing Cleveland live on Friday and like looking at their lineup, like I said, their 6 through 9 hitters are sub 200, and then they're not good. Like they can't even put the bat on the ball. Like they're automatic outs. So
I
think the Twins gotta.
Yeah, Cleveland and Minnesota are 2 very, very even teams. Statistically, they are exceptionally even. But I think Minnesota's built to be competitive right now. Cleveland's, I think, accidentally competitive right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're overachieving.
I do think Minnesota ends up winning that division. They went out and made the investment in Correa to do that. But the Guardians, those 8 games. If it's not a decisive blow for the Twins, it's like they're like 6-2 in them, and they let Cleveland hang around. Cleveland could end up sneaking by and taking it.
Yeah,
I will say this. I'm trying to pull up the stat that I saw, and I should have had it ready, but
I mean, it is
I'll
interesting because
fill it with this. The one thing I love about the Twins, sorry, Nick. The
No,
one
it's
thing I love about the Twins, I love that bullpen. And that could be I'm going to try and pull up the bullpen number that I saw when I was scrolling through Twitter, but that could be a team where you get them a lead in these 8 games with Cleveland where it's going to matter. They get themselves a lead in the 4th or 5th inning. Cleveland may not have a shot, especially with half their lineup being sub 250 hitters. And it's like you're going up against one lethal arm after another for the 7th, then the 8th, then the 9th inning. Like that game's over in the 6th. So you got to make sure you get a lead, which is another reason, and I will say this to segue in, the Yankees better hope they don't face, if Minnesota gets in and Minnesota wins that 3-round wild card or first round, whatever it's called, that's a Yankee lineup that could really see the wrath of a bullpen like that with hitters that are on cold streaks and strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. I don't think it's going to happen, but that is a really good bullpen. I'll let you go, Nick, and I'll see if I can find the stat here.
No, I'm just saying that this might be the most interesting race because, because it's either playoffs or go home. It's either win the division or go home. We're about to talk about the Mets and the Braves where they're racing for the division, but they're both going to make the playoffs. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is the race to watch because this has playoff or go home implications.
Yeah, and I think the Twins are a better team. I think we all agree the Twins are a better team. They're where they should be, but their schedule in September is also a lot easier. They've got these 4 against the Yankees, they got 3 against the Guardians at home, they got 3 against the Royals at home, then they got the 5 against the Guardians on the road, then they're on the road in KC again. They're home for the Angels, home for the White Sox, and they end with the Tigers. I mean, the Twins have a much softer September schedule than the Guardians do. So really, those head-to-head games, I think, are the deciding factor because if Cleveland doesn't take, 5 or 6 of those 8 games against Minnesota, and they've got to end the season against the Rays, where the Twins are going to end the season against the White Sox, who have already mailed it in. Tony La Russa's out indefinitely, and he'll be fired when the season's over anyways. The White Sox have mailed it in. I think that the Twins will end up being able to coast to the finish line.
Man, yeah. I mean, it's going to be an interesting race to watch, but I think, like Sean said, I think the Twins have the best chance to get there and actually do some damage in the playoffs. Where
agreed.
I think if the Guardians get in somehow, it's an easy exit. They're
losing. Yeah, they're losing the first 2 games of that best-of-3 series.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, even if Jose Ramirez goes 22 for 22 with 22 bombs, they're still not going to win that series. I mean, maybe
they don't have enough.
He's not going to. Right, he's not going to get 22 at bats. That's the thing about it. But
no, unfortunately.
All right, let's move over to the NL East. Then we got Mets and Bravos. That race is 1 game. But like I said, whoever comes in second is up by 10.5 games.
10.5 games in the wild card. Yeah, so it's a battle for who wins the division, who wins the wild card.
The bye. Right.
They're both going to the playoffs.
And they would get the Dodgers would get the bye, right?
The Dodgers are
the top
7
2
games ahead.
2 do in each league, right? Yes.
The top 2 get the byes now.
Right.
Yes,
that's right.
Yep.
So so it's going to be the winner of the NL East.
Yeah, gets the bye. Nice. I mean, what do we think? That's going to be a fun one to watch because both teams are playing well.
Yeah, I picked the Braves to win the division coming into the season. I think I like that team a lot. They've really found their own after the All-Star break. Acuna's kind of finally settled in. That team can hit, they can field, they can pitch. I think that the Mets are showing some signs of age. Scherzer left after 5. He was tired. I don't know what that means for him going forward, but when he opts out of a game, that's not usually a good sign. I like the Braves to end up taking over and winning that division, but those are 2 teams that are both going to be extremely dangerous in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I had to similar point on the other side. I had the Mets to win the division to start it at the beginning of the year, so I'll stick with it. I do. I've been saying all year. I think there's something special about watching this Mets team. You get a certain feeling from them, whether it be the lineup, whether it be the guys on the mound. I mean, Diaz is we've seen that. There's no need to rehash what Edwin Diaz is at the back end of the bullpen. I think Buck is obviously one hell of a manager. He can show what he does when he has a talented team. whoever wins it is going to deserve it. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much. The winner of the division is going to deserve the division. But even the team that comes in second, whether it's the Braves or the Mets, yes, they lose the bye. Yes, they're going to have to play the first round best of 3, but still a team that I would still heavily feel comfortable with a future on winning the World Series. I think both teams have absolutely what it takes to win the whole thing.
Yeah, but
I think
both those teams are there in the second round, no doubt. Neither one of those teams goes out in the first round.
It will be interesting to see too how the teams come out of the bye. You know,
Mhm.
like
That's
I
weird.
mean, having a series off, like you haven't had a series off all year,
No.
other than the All-Star break.
Well,
you know, like
I will say,
haven't
I think it's smart though that it's a best of 3. So
Right,
if the
absolutely.
if those series go the distance, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah,
It's not.
we're
We're not talking about an extended week off without playing baseball.
Right.
You know,
But
which
still-
I think is smart. But I'm
Yeah.
with you.
The
Yeah, I'm with
3 days is still longer than any break they've had since the All-Star break.
It's the All-Star
You know,
break.
it's
Sure.
it's out of the
this
routine.
this idea of a bye week in baseball is a little foreign to all of us.
Sure.
Right.
No, I agree.
So I mean, who knows? You get and it gives a team. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It will be interesting to see that for sure.
But those are two extremely dangerous teams.
Oh,
Yeah.
1,000%.
I would not want either one of them.
I saw a tweet from Gene Segura. I don't know if you saw this one, Sean, but it said Jacob deGrom is so good, his team can't even hit when he's on the mound.
Clever.
That's pretty bad.
You know what's funny, dude?
Yeah,
Jake's it's been that way for like Jake's whole career. It's sad. Like he just doesn't get run support.
Yeah.
No.
He just doesn't get run support. It's like the saddest thing. I mean, you get a guy who a couple of years ago won the Cy Young. He had the sub-2 ERA. He had like a 500 record. It's outrageous. Like you should never have like a 1.8 ERA and have 8 losses on your card. That's just ridiculous.
No, it's almost like the offense breathes that sigh of relief. They can take the day off because he's going to be so good, and then they don't do anything.
No question. It's
awful.
No question.
Well, it was like when the Mets played the Red Sox this year. Like the score was 1-0. Vasquez hit the double in the gap. The score is 1-0. That was the final, and DeGrom loses, and it's like he just lost 1-0. Like
it's just not right.
That's terrible, absolutely terrible. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. But,
so funny.
All right, let's go. Red Sox. They finally call up Tristan Casas.
Whatever.
Right? I don't know. Whatever.
The kid.
He does get a hit, an infield single in his debut. And the Red Sox have the second most runs scored in the AL, but Ryan Brazier alone has given up the most runs in the AL. So,
yeah.
So I mean, I'll phrase it like this: they're obviously done, right? There's way too many teams in front of them that have to go on 15-game losing streaks, and they're all playing each other, so it's not going to happen. I don't think they're mathematically out, but there's, I say, a 0.0001% chance.
The Sox are 9 games back with 27 games to play. There's just
Hey Nick,
crazy.
Real quick, you have the number 1 pick in the draft at 9, so you may want to get on and handle that.
I already got it. Don't you worry.
Okay, just making sure.
I got
He's taking
Mitchell
Trubisky.
Trying to be a buddy.
Named the starter for the Steelers.
I mean, it's going to be
trying to be a buddy.
Yeah, I'm taking Jameis Winston number 1, so it's all good.
No, Mitch Trubisky. He's going to be a starter for the Steelers.
I'll say this: I was saying to you guys before we started recording. It's tough. I think the Sox are clearly a better team when they're healthy. They've had some tough injury bug. Not that that's the reason that they're out of it. I mean, they're clearly a flawed baseball team, but they're better when they're healthy, as most teams can say. The Sox lost some really tough players. But before the loss today, I think they were on a 5-game winning streak going into today, and they gained a half a game.
Right.
So it's like they also had that bad luck where it's like even when they were playing well, the rest of the league was also playing well. It's like it's hard. Like you can't gain any leverage. And that's why over the course of a long season, good teams are good and bad teams are bad and average teams are average, and they were not a good team. It's almost like I wouldn't even want them to sneak their way and back their way into the playoffs. They're not a playoff team.
That'd be so bad.
They're not a playoff team. It would be an embarrassing 3-game series. It would be frustrating to watch. Don't even torture anyone with that.
Right.
Go back to the drawing board. Figure it out in the offseason. Go pay Xander. Go pay Xander. Pay Xander. I will. I've been on the fence about it. I've been saying we'll see what they're going to do. Yada yada. I had a feeling like it wasn't as black and white as it was made out to be. Go pay this guy, because I'll tell you, for a team that is out of it, maybe not statistically, but a team that is out of it, this guy plays like his ball bag is on fire night in and night out. He wants to be a Boston Red Sox. Like, make him a career Boston Red Sox. He wants it. Just, you can see by the way he plays every night. That's what he wants to do. Just pay the man.
Yeah.
So, you certainly have some moves to make, but that's got to be number one.
I mean, I think so. You have the 5-game winning streak, right? But it was against non-divisional opponents, so it doesn't do anything.
Well, they took 2 out of 3 for the Rays. Yeah, 2 out of 3 for the Rays, and they beat the Rangers. The Rangers.
Right. So, but the Rangers games don't do anything, right? It doesn't get you up in the stand. Even if you take 2 out of 3 out of the Rays, you're only gaining a game. Like, you're not gaining anything unless you're beating your division opponents. And if you're winning games against Seattle, but they're losing, you're gaining. Like, you need them to lose. Okay.
Like, and I get that. But the point that I'm trying to make is you're not going to play, and we see this with the new format next year, but you don't always play your division. You have to. There has to be times where you're playing well when the rest of the league isn't. Like, that's what good baseball teams do. Like, that's what the Yankees were doing in April and May. Like, when the rest of the league was playing 500 ball, the Yankees were winning 9 out of every 10 games. And that's what allowed them to obviously build that massive cushion. It's just that the Sox just can't find themselves in that position where, like, hey, the rest of the league for some reason is playing shitty 500 ball. Let's go rip off a 5-game win streak. Nope. Like, that's what the Sox need. And they just didn't have that team this year.
Yeah, they've got to they got to pile up wins and win the games they're supposed to, and they haven't done that. There's been a bunch of injuries. There's been a bunch of kind of underperformances. Cora's not had his best season. It's all kinds of things. And you're right. Say the Red Sox go rip off 10. They win 10 out of 11, or 13 out of 15, and they pick up 3-4 games. Even then, like, there's not enough of the season left for them to get hot enough to get into a spot where they even have a shot. And if they did, to Sean's point, it'd be an embarrassing exit for them, because that's not a playoff team.
No, they're not a playoff team. No.
Do they package Bobby Dahlbeck for some pitching next year?
What are you going to get for him?
I bet someone would pay for him. I bet somebody would trade for Bobby Dahlbeck.
San Diego might give you Josh Hader right now, straight up.
I mean, I think you can. I still think he's got some value. I mean, he's a young player that has some pop when he puts the bat on the ball. No question about it. I mean, has at least shown the versatility in the field. Like, he can play first. He spotted in at third a couple of times when they needed him. Like, he wasn't.
He had one start.
He wasn't short. Brooks. Yeah, I know. I'm not even gonna. He wasn't Brooks Robinson, but he was, like, fine when it mattered. Like, he has some value, and I want to like him. Like, I do like him. I shouldn't say it that way. I want to believe in him so bad that, like, 10% of me is gonna suck when they do get rid of him, and he ends up, like, having a breakout season with someone else. Part of me is gonna be like, God, I wanted that in Boston, because I still believe it's in there. Like, I still believe he has that, because there's little spurts where it's like, oh, don't let Bob get hot. Like, Bob can play. Don't let Bob get. He's
arguably the reason we made the playoffs last year.
It doesn't consistently happen. And it's like, it's a frustrating thing. But then again, like, if you're looking at it the other way, how can you make a right mind decision to hold Casas down for Bobby? Like, if Bobby's not continually going to improve, if he's not going to get more consistent, if he's not going to prove that he belongs out there every day, like, how do you hold a guy like Casas down? So, so I get the reason for sending him down now, and I get the reason for we likely have seen our last Bobby Dahlbeck in a Red Sox uniform. And I get that, but just, I want it on the record here that when he signs on in, I don't know, pick a team, Cleveland, and has a breakout year, I'm going to be very disappointed, but happy for him.
The hard part with Dahlbeck is he's got good power. He's actually got a nice swing, and all indications are he's a grinder. He works his butt off. But the Red Sox sent him down when they brought Casas up, which makes a lot of sense. Get him some at bats. But the hard part is Bobby Dahlbeck is 27, going on 28. Tristan Casas is 22 years old. A guy who's Bobby Dahlbeck is in his prime age-wise. That 27 to 32 year window is your prime. he's in his prime. If that's what you're going to get out of him, his third season in the majors, he probably is what he is. He's likely he's like one of those 4A players like Lou Merlone always was. He's too good for AAA, but not good enough for the major leagues. He needs something in between. But at 28 years old, you can't give this guy a lot more time.
I don't know, man. I would say generally speaking, like that's probably been the case in like the history of the game. But with the way like technology is and the way these kids, we talked about these young kids treating their bodies. Like Bobby might be 28 years old, but he doesn't have a ton of major league at-bats under his belt. It's not like he's a 28-year-old with thousands and thousands of major league at-bats, and this is what he is. Right? Like he's fairly he's got how many two full seasons, right? Two full seasons plus.
Two full. This is his third big league season, but it's 2 full and a partial.
And a plus. I mean, that's if someone was 24 and they had 2 full seasons and a plus, you wouldn't be like, oh, they are what they are. Now, granted, the age of them are younger. I get that. Yeah. But like, if this guy, for all indications, if he's a grinder, and he certainly looks like he takes care of his body, certainly looks like it matters to him being healthy and being in shape and really being able to play a full 162. I mean, there's no reason to think that this guy can't be in his prime at 34, 35 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking – and I love him. We're not talking about Daniel Vogelbach here. Vogelbach can't be. I mean, if Vogelbach's playing at 35, like that's a problem. But like Bobby Dahlbeck looks like a physical specimen. Like he looks like he cares about his body. He takes care of it. He works out. He probably eats right. Like there's no reason to think that this guy can't catch on maybe a little bit later than most and have a good 6-7 year career at 34, 35, 36 years old.
Yeah, maybe he could. I mean, his minor league track record is not spectacular either. His career batting average in the minors is like 240, but he was a better hitter down there. He still strikes out a ton. Always struck out a ton, but he had the power. He had 32 home runs in AA in 2018, 27 home runs in AAA in 2019, and last year last year he hit 240 with 25 and 78. You'll take that, but he's taken a massive step backwards this year, which I don't. Yeah. I mean, the whole team did. Unfortunately, I think he's probably he got sucked in that vortex. Everybody went backwards. But I mean, I like him. I like his swing. But you got a guy who's 5 years younger, nipping at his heels. The Red Sox are for sure push him out of the way and find a home.
Yeah, that's what I said. There's 100% no question. I mean, it's the right decision to make for sure.
It's just tough because I like Bobby, and I think that when he gets hot, like Brian Dahlbeck of years ago, would carry the team for 2 weeks easy.
But do you trade him away for some pitching? That's our glaring need, right? I mean, Red Sox need pitching. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think you listen to offers. I think whatever team comes, any team that comes in and says this is what we're offering, you listen to it, and if it makes sense for you, you do it. I mean, I'm not throwing him out with the bathwater just because, you know what I mean? Like But if you can get if people are offering, if a team is offering, absolutely. I'm not holding them back.
My guess is Bloom just signs Dallas Keuchel in the offseason, calls it a day. So that's my guess. But anyways,
and then
all right.
And then extends Ryan Brazier for 5 years.
I will easily become a Cincinnati Reds diehard fan if that happens. Goodness gracious. All right, let's move on to we're going to stay on the Albert Pujols train here a little bit. Albert Pujols or Alex Rodriguez, who are you taking?
For what?
Better player overall.
Who are you taking?
I mean, are we taking their careers in their prime to start an organization with?
Yes.
I mean, to start an organization, I'm taking A-Rod.
Okay. Why?
I'm taking young 19, 20-year-old A-Rod in Seattle. Gold Glove short. I don't care. I don't care about any of that stuff. Dude, this guy was a Gold Glover, a Silver Slugger. He could have stole 40 bases. He was an MVP type of player at 20, 21 years old. You're going to tell me you wouldn't start a franchise with that? That is outrageous.
I never said that.
I know. I'm taking that out on you, Nick. I'm taking it out on you. To start a franchise, I'm taking young first year in the league A-Rod over first year in the league Pujols. But career, if you tell me at the end, the last day of each other's career, I get to pick one, I'm picking Albert. Easy, no question. He doesn't have the controversy surrounding him. He's beloved everywhere, absolutely everywhere. He played in 2 cities, played in St. Louis, played in LA, absolutely loved in both. Loved by all of his teammates from what I mean, I haven't heard a bad word about a teammate about Albert.
No.
He's about to hit 700 home runs. He's about to have more home runs than A-Rod. Yeah, career-wise, absolutely Pujols. Pujols. But start a franchise?
Okay. So when do you get rid of A-Rod then? If you're going to start your franchise, when do you get rid of him?
When do I get rid of him?
When you start
because you want to start your franchise with him, but you want Pujols at the end. So when would you have to?
But those are two different. Those are two different thought lines. I'm not saying I start it with A-Rod and I end it with Pujols. I'm saying, like, if I was a player, and at the end of the day, you could tell me I get to choose one of the 2 careers to have. Like, I'm taking Pujols' career. But if I'm a general manager or an owner of a baseball team and I get an expansion team, like, you get to pick between these 2 to start your franchise.
Okay.
A-Rod.
Fair enough. Okay.
What's interesting is when you look at their stat lines, they're like eerily similar. They're the same player offensively, basically the same player offensively. Alex Rodriguez stole more bases. Whoop-de-doo.
So did I.
Right. I mean, Pujols, his credit, he's got 1 steal this year and 117 in his career. A-Rod's got 329 in his career, but still. But offensively, statistically, these guys are the same player. The difference is Albert won his Gold Gloves and all that. He's got the same number of Gold Gloves as A-Rod, but he won them at first base versus third base, and then he was a DH. So when you look at the total package, A-Rod gets the nod for being such a good shortstop and third baseman. Albert was primarily a first baseman and DH. You don't get the defensive upside, but they're the same player offensively. I would still take Albert because when it comes to leadership and character and being a winner and what he does for a fan base, I think Albert is a better player. He's better for an organization. He may not be the better player, but I think he's better for an organization and a team. So because of that, I would take Albert. But honestly, A-Rod should be considered the better player because you do have the same stat line plus the defense that Albert never gave you.
So my thinking,
and the speed and the base running ability.
Oh yeah.
So I would take Albert because every uniform that he was in, he looked good in. I mean, Alex Rodriguez in the teal Mariners, nope. Alex Rodriguez in the blue Texas Rangers uniforms, nope. Alex Rodriguez in pinstripes, definitely not. So just by looks alone, I would take Pujols. That's what I'm basing my whole argument on.
It's all vanity.
It's all vanity, for sure.
But I think you got a guy in Albert Pujols who's beloved by every fan base, and a guy in A-Rod who's hated by every fan base. That really is the moral of the story. A-Rod was not a likable player. As good as he was genuinely not liked. Albert
he was not.
Has been universally loved. He is considered to be a legend and a fan favorite everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
And that's the difference in their stories.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, like, and I could see it Monday night. Like I said, when I saw him and he went deep, there wasn't anybody sitting in their seat. I mean, there was 90-year-old grandpas in the front row giving him a standing ovation. Like it was just electric. Like everybody's rooting for this guy on the road in the division, right? Like it's awesome. Yeah.
Well played, Brian.
All right. So we'll move on to our rounding third question, which we said, will Albert reach 700? We kind of saw Randy said he would be the last at bat of his career in the regular season. He would reach 700. Brian says he hopes not because all he's been getting is BP fastballs. So,
I mean, maybe he's gotten a few, but I mean, he's seen some tough pitching.
Yeah. I hope he does. We're pulling for him hard, but
100%.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, if he falls shy of 700, just beat A-Rod. That's all I care about.
Yep. That's all. Like I said, he just needs 2. 1 to tie, 2 to pass him. That's all I really care about. So, all right, couple loose ends to tie up here.
So random question for you
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
Random question for you guys: Pujols or Bonds?
Ooh,
I'd take Bonds.
Bond's so hard
Bonds
for
is
me to go against.
Bonds is a game changer, even before everything. He was a 40-40 guy, like when he first got to San Francisco, and then he hits like getting walked with the bases empty. Like it's, and he could play the outfield. Like it's Bonds, man. I don't know how I could argue against
I
it.
think so, but I'll say I think I might trade if the question is like whose career would you rather have like at the end of the day. I might trade a little bit of the like yeah, Barry was probably the better player, but like I might prefer Albert's career. Again, two cities, you're beloved everywhere. Like yeah, Barry Bonds is beloved in San Francisco, like as he should be. But like there's a lot like baseball's kind of torn. I mean, the younger generation I feel like doesn't have a problem with Barry Bonds, but like you get like my dad's generation,
Yeah, forget it.
really not liked. Like really like no one has anything bad to say about Pujols. Like, yeah, maybe I'm trading. I don't want to say trading down because that's a bad way to put it, but like, you're trading away. Like, yeah, you'd be the best player ever, and maybe I'm giving that up. But like, that's a career. Like, yeah, give me that career. You know what I mean?
Pujols has the second most total bases of all time too. So it's not even just the home runs.
True.
It's
I mean,
like
that's
doubles.
true too.
He's
That's
hitting
true, too.
he's hitting 300 career. Like, I mean, the guy just rakes.
That's true too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an interesting one because Bond's career is so kind of unsteady. He's got these wicked like the 73 home run season.
Right.
The guy never hit 50 in a year except for the 73 home run season.
Right.
And early in his career, he was more of a speed guy with some pop. Then over the years, he became more of a power guy and lost the speed. I don't know. It's an interesting one because I would actually take Albert because I think Albert was a better overall player than Bonds. Bonds was an okay left fielder and turned into much more of just a power hitter. Granted the walks are friggin' off the chart. But when you look at, Albert had 400 more hits and a shit ton more RBIs. Like Albert did other things, but there's reasons for that. There's situations where Bonds wasn't getting at bats because of all the walks, and you could debate that one all day. But I would probably still take Albert.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's. Yeah, like just pretty much just saying what everybody else said. Yeah. Yeah, toxic locker room, like Brian said. So. Yeah. Okay, so who had a better arm, Johnny Damon or Barry Bonds?
They were about equivalent. I mean, Bonds didn't throw a lot of guys out. That's for sure.
No. So, all right, couple of loose ends here to tie up. Shane McClanahan goes on the DL or IL with a shoulder.
That's a big blow for the Rays.
Did you guys see? Did you see the clip when he was in the bullpen throwing his pregame warm up?
No, I didn't see the clip.
Oh, he felt it. It was felt like in the left shoulder, and he's throwing, and he threw a pitch, and he kind of looked at the bullpen coach, and the bullpen coach like called down on the phone, and then he left the mound and he just put his hand in his face in a towel and just started crying. So I don't know how bad. I don't know what it means, but it was a weird one to see.
That sucks.
That does suck.
He's such a good young player, and he's been
so
big
he
for
is,
them.
man. He's nasty.
Staying on injuries, Andrew Benintendi breaks his wrist for the Yankees, and he needs surgery. They're saying he possibly could be back, but it's a hamate bone.
That's a huge question mark.
Yeah. So.
Because then you got the issue of in the swing, like can he roll his wrists over? Does he have the twitch? Is it not there?
Right.
It's But we all said the Yankees were going to hit a point where they fell apart, and they've been doing it basically in August, but it hasn't necessarily been like the big injury. It's been a bunch of little ones. It's Cortez and it's been Chapman. Like it's all these guys starting to fall off, but it's it's Benintendi was a good addition for them, but unfortunately he's not going to help much in September when they need him most.
All right. So this is the second time this year that a pitcher has lost a no-hitter with 2 outs in the ninth.
I know.
Miles Mikolas earlier this year, and now Dylan
Oh, yeah.
Cease. And that one was brutal. He was devastated. Like the pitching coach came out after that hit. Now the announcers were like, we should pitch around Luis Arias so he can keep his no-hitter intact because Luis Arias is 330. This is my question. Does it make it legit if you put him on first base and then I'm with you.
I mean, it's still a no-hitter. It looks shady,
but it's gonna
Yeah.
It's gonna show up in the record books. Like 30 years from now, they're gonna go, "Oh, Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter," but it's asterisk. Asterisk not that he cheated for it, but it's looked at in a different way. I think definitely looked at in a different way.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Now, can he do the thing where he like they don't put him on, but like he throws around him and maybe he'll chase a pitch? It's a little more gray area. Like that I can if you do that and then get the next guy for the no-hitter, then I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
if you're just throwing up the four fingers, no.
That's different.
Right.
If you pitch around him, maybe you throw him one strike in the at bat, but you stay away from him. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you put the four fingers up from the dugout, that is absolutely tainting the no-hitter because you're avoiding the best hitter on the team to try to keep it intact.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, when the announcers were
wrong.
talking about that, like before even Arise came up, they're like, "Oh, he should pitch around him or walk him," and it's like,
doesn't feel good.
It's not a true no hitter. Then I mean, it is, but it's not like. Yeah,
it's a no hitter, but is it really?
Right. It's I don't know. Interesting. And then. This is all I have, but Josh Donaldson is officially a meathead. Did you guys see that bench clear the other day?
Yeah, what was it all about though? Like
it was a 3-0 count. The pitch was up and in, and Josh Donaldson had beef with it. That was it.
No. I saw that, but was there anything leading up to that? Oh,
no,
because that's what I saw.
No, yeah, Josh Donaldson's just an absolute meathead. Like
he was trying to make something. He was trying to make something out of nothing.
He's perfect for that fucking organization.
He's such an idiot. I mean. And we all know that he is a meathead, and we all wondered how the hell he fit into New York. But that's the kind of stupid crap the Yankees usually don't tolerate.
Yeah,
but it's silly. He was trying to make something out of nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure he's trying to spark something underneath that team or whatever. But like, it was to the point where like the team came out and was like, "Dude, like, what are we doing?" Like they didn't.
Yeah, I think something like that too. Like when you see like Aaron Judge's reaction.
Right.
First off, I think Aaron Judge is an unbelievable baseball player.
Yep.
He seems like an awesome dude too. Like he just seems like a good like the way he came out and reacted to the Donaldson thing. It's like, dude, relax. Like it's fine. Like it's not a like what are we doing here? Like what is the And I'll tell you this, and this is my quick thing about Aaron Judge, and then I'll leave it alone. With the way that the Yankees have played the second half of the season, I think almost guaranteed that Judge will not be wearing a Yankee uniform. He must be sick with the way that team plays baseball night in and night out. He must be sick at the way they're managed. He must be sick at the way that bullpen is managed. He must put that 99 uniform on pinstripes every night and go, you know what? I'm not doing this next year. I'll go to the Mets. I'll go anywhere. Like I just don't. Why would he?
Come to Boston. Launch some rockets onto Yawkey Way.
Even with like that, what was it, a couple weeks ago when like Garrett Cole comes out of the dugout and Judge was like, dude, like go back in the dugout. Like, what are you doing? Like you look like an absolute tool. Yeah.
That team is full of hot-headed idiots that do stupid stuff. And you're right. Like then the whole like bottle throwing incident with the fans, like he's the first guy out there, everybody calms down.
Yep.
Like
he just
so
seems
good
like
for
a
that
good
organization, but he's surrounded by idiots.
Yep. 100%.
Completely.
I think the only way that he possibly stays is this is if Cashman actually stays too. But Cashman goes, "What is it going to take for us to keep you here?" And he goes, "Get rid of Boone, get rid of them, like he pulls like the Tom Brady status and is just like, this guy's gone, this guy's gone, this guy's gone. I want this guy. I want this guy."
Yeah, you got to be careful with that though. And I know we're getting a bit of a tangent here, but like if you do that and then you don't win, you're just the asshole that just is selfish and wants to get his way. So, and I'm not talking win games. I'm talking about win titles, multiple titles, back-to-back titles. Like that's a thing you do when you're going to be the guy that brings me to 3 out of 4. If you do that, then I'll get rid of any coach you want. But
as a Yankee too. Like that's what
saying.
you do in New York, right?
And if I'm Judge, I wouldn't want that.
Any
The
part
pressure.
of that.
And now again, that's why I'm not a Major League Baseball player, and he is. He's that. He has he can deal with the pressure. I'm not saying that, but I just wouldn't. I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Do you guys have anything else? I know it was kind of like a slow news week, but anything else that sticks
I
out?
don't think so.
I think
I'm good.
I think we're set up for a good September. We got some good pennant races coming in. We got some good wild card action. A lot of good matchups. It's gonna be fun down the stretch. And like Sean, I'm ready for playoff baseball. I love getting into October when it's all different.
I'm my eyes are definitely going to be on the AL Central. Now that I have like something to watch just to see who gets into that spot there. Like I think that could be an interesting race for sure.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, so yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for commenting. Just like, subscribe, share our podcast, and we'll see you next Monday at 8.